What's the good word, Jets fans? It's your boy DKB here. So there's been a lot of chatter around Mike Williams. Obviously, we've been, trade fanatics since the offseason going into the regular season, but focusing in here on Mike Williams. On the surface, it makes a ton of sense, especially after the Davante Adams acquisition. And I seen a tweet from Jordan Schultz that mentions the Jets will be seeking a trade partner to send Mike Williams to. They just think the wide receiver room's a little too crowded right now, which I don't know. It feels like sometimes the front office is a little touched in the head. We are one of the last teams that should be feeling like we have too much talent at any particular position with the way that we play. But putting that aside, when you look at Mike Williams a little deeper, right, he hasn't done a ton. So if you want to do a making the case versus not making the case for him being traded or remaining with the Jets, you take a look at the minimal impact. 10 catches for 145 yards and I believe 0 touchdowns. Obviously, he's not going to be catching any, sneak running plays like we've seen from Xavier Gipson or Garrett Wilson or, even a Malachi Corley whenever he can actually see the field. And what we were sold on and what continues to play in my head rent-free is that we would have gotten a version of a T. Higgins, right? It's essentially the same side, of two sides of the same coin. When you want to look at what they do really, really well, obviously the build is perfect, 6'4", 200 plus pounds. You take a look at the massive wingspan that he has. He's a little bit more nimble to me than a lot of people give him credit for. So I think there is a little bit more route variation that you can throw his way than the average just big man jump ball guy. And then you take a look at, again, his ability to be able to box a lot of these guys out. One of the things that impresses me the most is not every big guy knows how to play like a big guy. And what I mean is, not only does he do the setup job of boxing guys out, but he also isn't a body catcher. So he'll use that wingspan, he'll use that arm radius or that catch radius in order to shield a guy and then make it to where only he can make the play on the ball. And that's what made him so great over the course of his career so far, in that either he's going to make the play or it's going to be a drop ball and you feel confident in the hands, which is the reason why we brought him in from the Chargers with a sandwich, right? So there was big things, and part of this I feel like is always the not living up to expectations piece of it. I very much so believe you can see Mike Williams, if he was to remain on the roster, turn into more than just a serviceable guy, right? He could definitely be a piece that starts this engine on any given week. But you also take a look at the snap count breakdown when you have not only a Garrett Wilson, but also the likes of an Allen Lazard with about 350 plus or so snaps. And then you look at Mike Williams and he has, under 200. That lets you know what the staff is thinking, or maybe specifically Aaron Rodgers and his lack of trust in Mike Williams so far. You also have to replay the Bills game in your head, because from Mike Williams' standpoint, he's hearing his quarterback, his Hall of Fame QB, call him out. And even further back, let's dive into that. Called him out on one of the final plays for the New York Jets anyways, of the potential comeback drive where Mike Williams was said that he ran the wrong route by Aaron Rodgers. We haven't heard Mike Williams' thoughts on that, but he took a personal day yesterday by the time you guys are seeing this. So probably hasn't, even really been a chance for him to speak to that. But the timeline of things would make sense. You get the call out, suddenly you're absent. We also have the Davante Adams trade, and per Jordan Schultz, we feel like the room is has too many bodies in it right now, right? So you take a look though a little deeper. Of his 10 catches, a lot of those have been first downs, right? I don't know what the specific numbers are, but if you take a look at the first 3 or 4 weeks, a lot of those series that we were having where we were having 3 and outs and, we were in third and long situations, it was Mike Williams that was converting and getting us a lot of opportunities to try to get down the field where we weren't really getting answers from anybody else. So I bet if you look at the breakdown, he's probably looking at least a 50% conversion rate on first downs for himself. And that's exactly what you want from him. Now, if we bumped up his target share a little bit more, I bet you the numbers will look a lot more impressive, probably more so something along the lines of what you're seeing from an Allen Lazard. But he's on that Breece Hall rehab schedule. And again, there's not that trust there. So when we got Davante Adams, I would imagine a Woody Johnson or a Joe Douglas tapped in, as we've heard many people say, just to get his thoughts. And if I'm AR, I'm saying to myself, yes, he's done enough for the roster, but for what the expectations were coming in, it hasn't been there. And also, if you're asking me if I trust him over any of the three guys in Davante, in Allen Lazard, or in Garrett Wilson, I would say no. Go ahead and ship him out, and let's see if we can get another player or some better resources for potentially a different trade, right? Who knows how many more guys we'll try to get out here. So I can see it making sense from that standpoint. But, for people that are hard set one way or the other, I would just say consider those points. I know it doesn't look great if you're just a stat sheet watcher, but he has contributed decently enough in the limited amount of snaps that we're seeing out of a guy like him. So what I will say, if he does go, I know I've seen some names thrown out there, mostly the Commanders recently, and it makes sense. They don't really have a player of his archetype or his build on that roster. They're kind of more so in that Chiefs mode where, it's a speed threat offense. And obviously, Jaden Daniels been taking the league by storm, balling absolutely out of his mind in his rookie season, and definitely challenging CJ Stroud's rookie season for sure. But yeah, I don't know where I fall on this. I'd rather keep him on the roster because I rather know that I have that option and either we're just not using it or the guys ahead of him really are just playing that well, rather than finding out that we actually need him and then we don't have the option to tap into that. But on the plus side, it would be nice to get some more looks at a Malachi Corley, or for those that like Xavier Gipson more, and Xavier Gipson. And there's at least the potential to have a little bit more utilization in the roster when you want to talk about having a speed guy, or at least a guy that presents some strong, yak ability. And so Yak King's knocking, right? He's hungry. He wants to get on the field. Let's go ahead and get it done. But let me know what you guys think. I know when, we chatted on the live that I did yesterday, by the time you guys are seeing this, there was a decent back and forth over the merits of keeping him or trading him. I would also be curious what we get in a return. I have no idea what his value would be right now. I know he should have suitors 100%. And I think the fact that he's been healthy, even in a limited amount of playing time that he's had, helps. So if people believe that, we're just idiots and he's still the guy that he was with the Chargers, maybe we can get something to replace the Hassan Reddick, Davante Adams type stuff. But we'll see. I'm not too interested in that, more so as seeing if this actually happens or not. But let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you again. Peace.